flowers on the stage.
So here we are with the
Here we
one and
are.
only Tom Hamilton from J-Rad, Ghostlight, American Babies, and more. Tom, man, cheers to you. So glad to have you on here. How you doing today?
Cam, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So starting this off, congrats on the new record.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it.
Heck yeah, I would love for you to just kind of take us through your musical philosophy with this album and kind of like your vision for the record.
Sure, man. Well, I try not to go into I don't like really go into it too with too much purpose, like this especially this record, it been quite some time since I got to make an album that was kind of just like me dealing with my shit, you know, which is just kind of like what I've always done since I was a kid. I kind of like process the world and then just kind of filter it through art of some sort. And I hadn't I the last records that I kind of made on my own were was an American Babies record in like 2016 or something like that. So it'd been a while since I kind of was able to like do my thing and like process my life the way that I normally do. So when it came to making this record, I really just wanted to let the creativity dictate every next step. I didn't want to kind of do anything based on really any outside factors other than that. Just like what is my what's my gut telling me what's and where where's the wind blowing me. I definitely didn't go into it rigid, with like a some grandiose vision.
That feels like it's stressful to kind of just have the wind blow you through the process. What was that like?
Very stressful, man. I mean, well, it's like, what's the goal? Um, uh, you know, there are easier ways to do it, I'm sure. But for my thing, it's like it's the process is as much as important as the outcome. You know, so yeah, it's terrifying, man, and it does a number on you. You go through and there's like so much self doubt and you know you there's a lot of gut checks that go through a process. I think of trying to make something that you want it to feel real and important to you. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really, you just gotta stick with it, man, and get through the stuff. I mean, like the first few months of working on music, I have a partner, this guy Pete Tramo. He's been my writing partner for
Shout
over.
out, Pete.
Shout out Pete, love Pete. But man, like, dude, the first we started working on this record, February, it was like February 6th or something. I think was like the first like session that we had, and we didn't write anything that we thought was worthwhile until June. You know, that's 5 months of not being good enough, and 5 months of like, oh man, dude, did we forget how to do this? Like, do we have, do we even have a perspective, or is there anything in there, that matters? Um, and I think that's a real important part of the process, like the self screening, the taking yourself to task to not let laziness slide through, and so it's like when we would, I mean, we wrote plenty of shit in that first 4 or 5 months, but it either was something we already wrote, or it was something that somebody else already wrote, or it was just vapid and didn't mean anything, or you know what I mean. there's a million reasons to throw something out, where it's just like, yeah, man, it's just derivative. It's not, it doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
When something feels right, you know immediately when you start playing a riff or you get a line going or a stanza going. You're like, oh yeah, this is worthy to chase. And
Mhm.
you keep chasing it, and you keep checking in with yourself, like, okay, is this still worth it? And you keep going, and then you get it through to the end, and then at the end you're able to look at it and objectively say one way or the other. Like, okay, this goes in the keep pile or goes in the throwaway pile. And yeah, man, it does a number on your self confidence. 4 months of just writing dog shit. And dude, none of this is like me saying I'm some kind of like authority on how to write songs or make records, or like I'm fucking John Lennon or some shit like that. I'm not. It's just, this is just one dude's process.
Mhm.
Of like trying to make art. Um,
The the
yeah,
treasure is all in the treasure lies in that trash bin full of crumpled up songs, you know.
yeah, man. I mean, well, sometimes it's just shit, and you just
But at the other side of shit
yeah.
is the
Well,
Terrence
yes,
McKenna
that's
mushrooms.
it's on the other side. Exactly. That's exactly it. It's worth to me. It's worth putting myself through what I put myself through to
Mhm.
get to the other side of it. Um, and it's not fun. It's not a fun way to live in a day-to-day way. It's not fun for my fucking girlfriend, I'm sure. It's like, it's not the it's just like, it's a compulsion. It's, of like,
Mhm.
I do this stuff because I need to do it. And yeah, and then you start finding uh these little landmarks of light. That's like, oh yeah, that's an okay idea. We'll hold on to that. You know,
Mhm.
and and then you get one, and you're like, ah, fuck, there it is. Okay, we can still do this. We still remember how to do this. We're not completely void of talent anymore. We do have something to say. We do have an ear for this. Um, and then that one builds confidence, and you keep going, and that's it. It snowballs, and then you get a night. Now all of a sudden there's 8 or 9 tunes, and you're like, wow, these are good. This is good. But you don't just want to stop there. So it's like, well, let's keep going, and then eventually you get to 13 or 14 tunes, and it's like, well, now you got to start making choices, right? You got certain
Mhm.
things. It's like, well, it's these all won't fit on a record. So now you're really separating you know uh, a much higher quality of stuff. Instead of
Yeah,
being like
totally.
dog shit and not dog shit. Now you're like, okay, well, now you're able to elevate what your bar is, and also you're able to start seeing what it
Mhm.
is, what the possibilities are of what you can make. Like, I look at like the songs and like all those ideas and all the little bits. It's all the clay. And then you it's like, well, what are we going to make out of all this stuff? And
Mhm.
well, it could be the statue of David, or it could be a boat, or it could be it's like, who the fuck knows. And you just kind of start paring away from it, at it all from that, and then you get a record.
Tom, you said something that stuck with me about like the process being just as important, if not more important, than the kind of outcome. Am I paraphrasing you right? Is that kind of what you said?
Oh yeah.
I'd love to linger on that for a little bit and maybe from the lens of like advice to other artists out there listening, other musicians, songwriters, or even jumping away from music and the way this applies to doing anything in life.
Any art, I think, or well, yeah, you could say anything too, I guess, but in the creative endeavor, um, you know, and again, this is just one guy's thing. I'm not judging anybody else for doing other things other ways. Yeah, man. Well, the the process is where I'm learning about who I am. You know,
Mm.
and like, what is it that you want to say, and then why do you want to say it? you know, um, you know, it's intention is like the thing, it's like what we, culturally it's such a, there's so much happening, there's so much static, there's anybody can put music out, like you're right, like there's just
Right.
so much going on. So, at some point you kind of got to pick a lane, right? Of like, well, why am I doing this? And I feel lucky that I'm older, and I don't feel the need to make stuff for the more superficial reasons necessarily. Like of like, you know, well, you should cut it down. You should make the song shorter for whatever fucking reason, or like, yeah, make sure the song has like at least a 15-second like real like punchy thing so we could use it for fucking TikTok or whatever, like things like that, which I understand, I mean, like, you know, but that's treating it all like more like a product than, a tool to help us get through fucking life, Um,
And there's this discovery process you're referencing.
yes, where, you know, when you start digging, you know, um, and it's terrifying. It's a terrifying practice to, you know, really fucking shine the light back at yourself, and dig the fuck in, man, and find out who it is you really are.
So what's it? So with that, for me, that's like so self-critical. Like if I were to sit down and write a song, I'd be like, this is trash.
Yeah,
What the hell are you doing? This is trash. Like
maybe you're right.
yeah, exactly. And my question is, how does how what's your best advice for like being genuine and getting away from this total like fully self-critical mindset? Like how do you balance that critical part of your brain with
Zooming
like being
out,
vulnerable and genuine?
zooming out, man. You know, um, it, it it's the it's I think it's real important to try to look at things with other with disassociated eyes, or at least musically. That's kind of a lot of the thing where like I'll try to when we're coming up with ideas, I try to just listen to it like it's not my shit, and just be like, okay, if I heard this, would I be like, oh, that just sounds like this, or if I heard this, would I dismiss it, or would I move, or
So
what?
like viewing it objectively.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Oh, like take yourself out of it, and the other part, the lyrical part or the more vulnerable part, well, that's the part we got to lean into the most, I mean, everyone's so afraid to show their ass, everyone's, people are, uh, and it's, and I get it, man, it's scary to be vulnerable, I mean, yeah, it's terrifying to be vulnerable, uh with anyone, let alone with many people or with strangers, I mean, it's a thing, I found that once you do it, though, uh, the reward um, is is immense.
Talk to me about that.
Like you feeling there. I made a record. Who the fuck am I? I'm nobody. I'm just some dickhead that plays guitar. That has a studio, and I like to make things. I like to make art, and I like to make music. And I made something that that I can stand behind, 10 toes down, and say uh, this is a representation of what goes on in my head. Um, there are things in there that are, you know, um, there's stuff. There's a lot in there, and um, you know, it's it's there's stuff in there that's not easy to talk about. There's stuff in there that's not easy to acknowledge. There's just it's life, dude. It's fucking life. It's messy. It's scary. It can be dangerous. It could be perfect. It could be all these
Mhm.
things. So I took the last 7, 8 years of my life and I processed it and I put it into this record and I put it out there. Uh, that's a victory, man. That's success.
Mhm.
What happens to it after this is out of my control.
Mhm.
And there's going to be plenty of people that are going to say this is stupid or it's dog shit or it doesn't, whatever they're going to say. And I hope there's people that also identify with it. And, there's people that it helps get them through a day or a week or an hour or whatever the fuck it is. Like music's done for me my whole life.
Mhm.
Um, but none of that is my business,
Mhm.
you know? Um, my part of this equation was I just wanted to find out more about myself and make something and put it out into the world.
Mhm.
That's the victory. For me, that's the victory. Of like, hey, this is who I am. I'm a naturally very shy person. I crippling social anxiety. I constantly am afraid of most people and being judged. Uh,
But what's
but
the alternative, right? Is it like
exactly what
hiding and letting life pass you by while you're just hiding?
right. The alternative is to make yourself smaller. And
Mhm.
I don't think that that's the right answer. I don't think we should be making ourselves smaller. I think we should, we should be, yeah, man. Well, and just expressing ourselves to each other and communicating.
Mhm.
Like I'm not great at communicating, uh, necessarily. Um, and like, like my like stuff. So like this is how I'm able to do it. And there's a it's all in there. Like
Mhm.
everything is in there. Everything's in that record. You listen to that record and if you're really listening to it, it's all in there. And
Mhm.
so I don't know, like it's like that like to me that's just me facing a fear, of like, my whole life. Yeah, I was bullied as a kid and stuff, and like, I've always just kind of struggled with any kind of confidence or you know sense of worth. And for me, making stuff is what makes me feel better about myself.
Mhm.
It's like, well, at least I was able to create something that wasn't there before.
And that's beautiful. Like turning your pain into something like a lighthouse for people. I love that, Tom.
Trying our
And
best.
hey, I want to jump to the side a little bit. I've got, some other just topics outside of the album. So,
Whatever you're into.
Tom, you played in all kinds of groups, from groups you're leading to groups you're hired gun.
Mhm.
I'd love for you to talk to me about what you've learned is most important when it comes to being like the ideal leader of a group and what that archetype kind of looks like from your perspective.
Okay, fucking Cam coming in hot. I like this. These are that's a good question, man. Um, okay, my personal ethos on that whole thing is, well, first of all, never ask anybody to do anything that you don't do yourself ever. You know, um, such as being self-critical, right? I would never, like I would never ask somebody else in a band, that's like we're like writing music together, um, to do something that I don't already do. Uh, I think leading by example is a really important thing. Um, I think communication. I mean, it's like any relationship, man. It's just communication is the utmost. It's the thing. And just making sure everybody's talking to each other and expressing each other's needs. Because it's like, especially if it's like a band full of creatives, you know, it's a lot of sensitive people hanging out. You know, um, it gets different, I think, when it's like a group of hired guns. I think it's a different mentality, a little bit. Um, that's more of a soldier type of thing, and I think that might be uh it's just like you just navigate that differently, but like when you're in a band and everyone is trying to kick in and be a part of it, it's just yeah, it's just making sure that you just have like there's got to be a leader, right? So if it's you, just make sure your mission statement is clear, of like, hey, this is the vision that I have for everybody, that for our thing, and just making sure everybody's on the same page. I think that's just like the most important thing, is give everybody the north star that you have as the guy. It's like if you're the person with the vision, share that vision. Like, hey, this is what we're going for, and going from there.
Mhm. Do you ever catch yourself being like less or more authentic, like getting away from authenticity? And is there a way you kind of find your way back to that, whether it's with songwriting or jamming or just being Tom on a day-to-day basis?
Uh I mean, honestly, dude, I think it's one of the reasons I don't get as many like hired gun gigs as other people. I'm not good at not just kind of doing what I do. You know, um, yeah, and I think I did get away from that for a little bit, but it was just more of a conscious choice. I mean, it's a long life, right? And it's a long career. You're right, careers. You talk about like having like a record or like you write a song, and it's like, yeah, I mean, like whatever, man, that's fine. But like if you're like really like an artist as like a vocation, like this is what I'm dedicating my life to. Well, you're gonna take these fucking off ramps and you're gonna take these detours because you're trying to again figure out who you are and what fits your needs at the moment of creation,
It's
and
like
some
these detours are a part of authenticity too.
of course to find out who it is that you are, because who we are changes all the time, I mean, I think that's a real, a real cause of friction generally between people is, it's like we meet people and we'll partner up, and we expect each other to remain the people that we were when we met. That's just not how it works, and that's not, you know I don't think that can last. You need to uh provide a wide berth, right, for each other and um for all of us, right, to change and to grow and to learn more things and to forget things we've to unlearn other things and whatever. And so yeah, authenticity, I think it comes more back to intention.
Mm.
you know uh
Can you unpack that? Like authenticity coming back to intention.
are you doing something because you think it'll make you pop? It's in the early 2000s there was like the thing that changed American culture would be the reality TV star, right? Like Paris Hilton, right? Where it was like basically, up until like the real world and like shit like that, if you were to be famous, you were going to be famous because you did something really well, right? Um, you had to develop a skill, and then you would be rewarded for that skill. Let's say, um, and then at some point that changed to just like, well, I just kind of want to be, I just want to be famous. I don't really want to work or do anything for it. Um, you know, that's intention. You know, are you trying? Are you trying to reach a broader audience because you want to move a conversation forward, move an envelope forward, move society forward, move a genre forward, whatever it is, right? Or are you doing it because I would love to like make some cash, get my dick sucked, and like whatever, you know what I mean? It you know it right? I mean, that those are two pretty different intentions, and I think that I mean that's what I'm talking about. It's like
Mhm.
doing something just because it's like when like somebody like goes country, and it's like, okay, well, you're doing it because your fucking career's floundering, and you're just like trying to like grift on people that don't mind inane lyrics or whatever, but like or like doing something because you're generally trying to understand a new art form, like David
Yeah.
Bowie making a record with fucking Nine Inch Nails. It's like, okay, that's fucking Bowie being like, what the fuck is this music? I want in. I want to, it's like your buddy gets a new toy, or a new tool. More that would be more accurate. And you're like, well, dude, that's fucking sick. And that's super cool what you're doing with it. But let me see what I could do with it,
Mhm.
and you're doing this thing because you're trying to create and whatever,
Mhm.
I think, like I don't know. And again, man, this is all just my opinion. Like what do I know? I'm just that these are just one guy's thoughts. I don't want anybody thinking I'm not on a soapbox here. It's just my opinion. That's just how I try to go through it all.
We'll leave that disclaimer in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like, because it's like I don't want to come off. I'm not trying to be like a dick or anything, because I get it, man. There are plenty of people that are doing shit for the other reason. That's your thing, and
Mhm.
that's just not where I'm at in my, with what I do.
Totally. Yeah, no shade. I'd love for you to talk to me about like darkness in art and
Sure.
what you think about that can pack such a wallop that can be so beautiful.
Well, I mean, dude, the fucking man, fucking, how much time we got? I mean, the human experience is varied, to say the least, and it's it's hard. It's hard, man. As as nice as it is and helpful as it is, to kind of just be like, fuck that shit, like that's over there. I'm just gonna be over here, smiling with my thumbs up, you know, shiny happy people, and um, and that's fine and cool. But that's not the realities necessarily, And I think the things that always reached me the most in art is exploring those darker parts of existence. And I'm not trying to be like, like again, that's just my opinion, But like, man, that's the stuff that connects us, man. Like we're all gonna have to
Mm.
deal with. We're all gonna have to deal with the bad stuff. We don't all get to have the happy stuff. You know, there are fucking plenty of people in this planet that will never experience a fraction of the comfort and happiness that you've experienced in the last hour of your life, let alone something super cool. You know, I'm just talking about like fucking climate control and like shitting in a toilet, drinking
Yeah.
clean water. And I don't need help processing the happy stuff, man. You know,
Mm. Yeah.
I don't need help with that. That's fucking, yeah, high fucking fives, dude. Let's go.
Mm.
That's not the thing. I don't wake up in a cold sweat because I'm happy. I don't wake up in a cold sweat because everybody's equal and, everybody's safe. That's not, you know,
Yeah.
um, I don't need help processing that. What I need
Mm.
processing is, my dad dying. You know, I need help processing, abusive relationships. And, I mean, and a part of all of that, it comes to like, people are, all that fucking mean shit and stuff, like those people are more scared than we are. You know, they're they're terrified of life. They're terrified of love and what it can do. You know, It- and we're seeing it in fucking Minneapolis. You can see what love can do. You have hundreds of thousands of people just fucking taken to the streets in fucking, Arctic fucking conditions because, they love their community. They love who they are and where they are. So,
Amen.
and it's like, and that's awesome, and I can understand that, what I don't understand is the other stuff. And, we're, yeah, there's an allure there to talk about it and to
Mm.
share and to, but not commiserate. Not make it a thing where we're all just sitting around fucking be like, oh, this sucks. That's not it, man. Because it's the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of love. It's like making this record. You go through the fucking absolute worst shit, of whatever to get to the other side of whatever it was, and and to be relieved, and yeah, if that's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what the fuck is.
Relieved. Yeah. We were talking about what's on the other side of the shit too earlier. It's so full circle.
You know, like Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne crawled through a mile and a half of the worst, whatever.
And we're still talking about it to this day.
Yeah. And what was on the other side of all that fucking shit? Freedom.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes,
uh,
sir.
yeah. That's. I guess we can bring it back, man. Right?
Mm.
The reason. That's the reason, right there. Yeah. On the other side of it all is freedom.
Mm. Starting to wind down here. I'd love for you to talk to me about like any specific books you've read over the course of your life that you feel like have been especially impactful for you.
Hmm. Sure. Uh, I'm a reformed Catholic. I was raised Roman Catholic, and there's a book by this guy named Christopher Moore, who wrote this book called Lamb, and it's a satire about. It's basically they resurrect. Like in the Bible, they're like the from like the time Jesus was like 12 to 30. There's like nothing. So this book is they resurrect Jesus's best friend from that time, and they have him tell the story of like what actually went down. And I thought it was, I mean, I thought it was brilliantly written, um, and it kind of helped process, going through that.
Do you think things happen for a reason?
I mean, I don't think fate's a thing. No, I don't think there's a guiding force. I think that things just happen, and
Coincidentally?
yeah, I mean, I think that just it's just fucking chaos, man, and we're all
Mm.
and all just happening, and our job is to just try to navigate with as much grace as possible, and to pay
Mm.
attention, to what's going on around us.
Mm.
It makes the chaos easier to deal with. It's and less destructive. If you're able to just kind of like look around and be like, okay, oh, move out of that guy's way, or what I mean, and just like I said before, it's like giving each other space and grace to be a person.
Mm. I love that. I'd love to hear you talk about what advice you can share for any fans out there listening about living a life you can look back on and be proud of.
Got it. Here we are. I love Bruce Springsteen. I think he's the fucking best. Um, when it comes to being an artist, um, it's not so much like like what would Bruce do type of thing, but I look at a lot of things of in a way of if I met Bruce Springsteen, how would I want him to be? Right? It's a pretty good guiding thing, you know.
Mm,
How would I want the reality of that guy to be? You know,
mm.
and I just try to live like that.
Dude, that is deep.
Like it's like I
How did
don't.
that come to you? Where did you get that?
Somebody early in my career, asked me. I was like at I was at like dinner or something, and somebody came up and asked me for a picture, and the person I was with was like, that was fucking rude. You should have told them to fuck themselves. And I just, well, if I was that guy and Bruce Springsteen was me, and I asked him in the middle of dinner, which is rude. I'm not going to deny that that's not rude, but it's also understandable because if I saw Bruce Springsteen eating a fucking thing of penne, I'm going to fucking go over there and be like, sorry, man, but I got to fucking say, uh, how would I want him to look me in the eye up from his fucking meal and just be like, fuck you, or be like, no, hey, sorry, man, I'm eating? No.
Mm,
What I would love more than anything is for him to understand that, would for it be just for him to understand. And I think he would. And that's just how I try to like do most shit, man, is like just try to understand what's going on yeah, and like and artistically, where it's like what what do I what is the version of that guy that I hope is true, and
mm,
the version of that guy that I hope is true is somebody that when he gets into the studio, he goes through and writes shitty songs and throws
mm,
them out and gets better at it, you know that's what I hope, and I hope that he goes into it with good intentions,
mm,
and that's all there is to it, and when I found myself not in those places, in those headspaces, I don't work.
mm,
I won't go in. It's like, all right, man, if I'm like just not there, not or whatever, I don't have it in me, then then fucking I'm gonna stay in my fucking house and get through and process my day and get through my thing and just get back up and fight another day to be as good of a person as I possibly can and just try to be nice to people and make art that matters to me,
mm,
to make records that, you know, to not try to remake a record that I thought was cool and or what and I'm just copying that or maybe I think that'll make me successful, but to make records or to make any art that don't exist. And that's why I wanted to make it. Oh, I wish this record existed. Here it is now, creating something that just wasn't there before. I don't know.
Amen. Tom, man, I love the way your brain works, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. This is 10 out of 10. Shout out to you, Mr. Tom Hamilton, for all that you do.
I appreciate that. I'm caffeinated. I'm a chatty dude, so I'm sorry if this was a little,
This was perfect, Tom. And
but
shout out to that caffeine getting us just right for this. Everyone out there listening, by the way, we got links in the description. Check out I'm Your Vampire, new album from Tom Hamilton, and the upcoming US tour. Tom,
yeah,
can't wait to catch you at Cervantes here on April 3rd in Denver. And yeah, everyone out there listening, get your tickets. These are intimate venues, so definitely don't want to wait to doors. We'll have a link in the description. And yeah, cheers to you, Tom. Appreciate
thanks.
you, man.
I appreciate it, man, and I hope to meet at the show. When I get out there in April, come hang out. We'll fucking grab a coffee.
Heck yeah, I'd love that. I'll see you
Aw-
then, man.
Awesome. Take care,
Awesome.
brother.
Smooth travels.
Thanks.
flowers on the stage.